Welcome to Mind and Minority. I'm your host, Makailyn, and I have a special guest.
I'm Mr. Fleming.
And this is our first official episode. And today we're going to be basically talking about Blacks in college. I know that's a very controversial conversation, and a lot of us don't have the opportunity to go to college. It could be like financial reasons, in high school we just, wasn't where we want to be. Then it's graduation time, and it's like, dang, I wish I would have, did what I had to do. So my first question to you is what influenced you to become a teacher?
Wow, let's see. When I was about 5 years old, my older sister and I used to play school.
Yeah.
And it was just, I would always act like I was a bad child in class. And when I would get to school, I actually liked helping teachers. I liked being the helper and different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So any chance I got to do that, I did that.
Yeah.
When I was in third grade, my third grade teacher, Miss Sorensen, my mom had asked me, because my mom had to be at work at a certain time, so she would drop me off early. She said, well, why don't you ask Miss Sorensen if you can help her in the mornings? That would be a big help for all of us. And so she would let me in the mornings to help. And one of the things that I definitely remember, I may not remember the exact conversations Ms. Orenson and I had, and mind you, I was a third grader.
Mm-hmm.
but even at that point, I wanted to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And even at that time, she would tell me certain things that you probably wouldn't hear in the classroom.
Yeah.
Or the teacher wouldn't say out to the whole class, but still good stuff.
Yeah.
And she always encouraged me, and that kept going. So in elementary school, I wanted to be a teacher because I liked the idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked giving a lesson.
Yeah.
That whole leadership role.
So at a young age, you knew
Yep.
Yeah.
Right then. Now when I got to middle school, I realized I'm not good at all these subjects,
mm-hmm.
so I could not teach elementary school. And English was the main one. I had an idea of maybe doing math too.
Yeah.
That changed in high school and got confirmed in college, where I was like, okay, I'm not good to teach every math, but English I was consistently getting good grades, and English was one that I felt was the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then also looking at the fact, if you would look at statistics of Black males during that time, Black males in school and whatnot, and probably even more so now, reading comprehension and writing are things that we desperately need constantly. And for me, it was very important that I was assisting really anyone who needed it, but particularly our students of color,
mm-hmm.
Because we're the ones where we're one of the main groups where there's that big education gap.
Yeah.
So I guess that focus on what's the most important thing that students, particularly the ones that I identify with, what do we need in order to be successful?
Yeah.
Because especially in this day and time, it's truly needed. So I would say that my teachers, the majority of my teachers, they influenced me to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a health teacher when I was at Perry Hall High School that told me basically that she knew I would be dynamic. One, because of the type of student I was. I was always respectful to my teachers, always goal-oriented and whatnot. That's how I was raised. And I saw the value of that. And she said she knew that, particularly with students of color, I would be dynamic. Now, at a certain point, I was wondering, because it's coming from a white teacher, it's I'll take that as a compliment, but do I still take that as a compliment? But definitely. So Definitely teachers, also that need, that desperate need that we needed more males in the profession. We needed, particularly students, I mean, teachers of color. Because when I think back, I can probably say that I may have had maybe one teacher of color, maybe two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I cannot think of a black male teacher that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
It was a teacher of color. It was mainly a female.
Yeah.
So quite a few things with that.
Yeah, I think I can personally relate to that. I think this was the first year I've ever had black male teachers, which was you and Mr. Faust, and it's it's like y'all like really do like a good job, and like being those like people, those leaders for like other black males and the upcoming generation. Hopefully, like influencing them, like they could be a teacher, Yeah. So like you go to, everybody say you go to college, you run wild. So how was like your social life and like your like school work life?
Um, my main focus was education for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Um, I wasn't really hanging out with friends as much, part of that because I didn't have transportation to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal once I got to college was I need a very strict focus.
Yeah.
Um, when I had graduated, when I graduated high school. Um, my dad was telling me about this program called Healthcare Careers Alliance, and it was a program that would allow me to get a job at a hospital. I had a focus on Hopkins, um, and I did that program, but I was not really into that program because the main thing was I did it because there was a chance of me going to college and possibly for free if you worked at if I worked at Hopkins for a year.
Yeah.
Then there was a chance I would be able to go for free. Now, my thing was I didn't want a career in health.
Mm-hmm.
Any job that I got, I wanted it to be meaningful, or at least something I could somewhat enjoy. Um, and the other piece was I did not want to wait a year.
Mm-hmm.
I was not the one who wanted to take a break. For some people that's fine. For me, I did not. My mindset was time was of the essence. I wanted to be a teacher as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Um, did that program, made it through it. Did an internship at Hopkins, didn't work out, um, and so January of '09 had came, and I said I wanted to go ahead and go to CCBC.
Mm-hmm.
Towson was my ultimate goal, even when I was in high school, but I didn't have the necessary SAT scores, um, amongst other things, and my grades were good,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess not to their standards.
Yeah.
So CCBC was the way to go because I could start there and transition over to Towson. So when I went in for that, I also sought out a job at CCBC.
Mm-hmm.
That way I could work while I was there. Once my class was over, I could go straight to work. And so I worked in the Office of Admissions at the Essex campus. And that was throughout my whole entire 8 years of college. It was 1 or 2 semesters where I couldn't take classes because of financial aid.
Mm-hmm.
And so even with me going to CCBC and getting what was called the Pell Grant, which paid for the majority of my classes, certain things came up where I couldn't take classes. So that was a semester that I didn't go. That was furious I didn't go. So college took me longer than usual. But it was an experience that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the vast majority of all my professors. It definitely solidified my thoughts on education.
Yeah.
Like one of the things I probably mentioned it to your class before. I'm about giving students what they need to be successful. I do believe in the idea of a well-rounded student, but at the same time, let that student define what it is to be well-rounded. I would say in high school and definitely the college experience. But all that to say, most of my series was focusing on school.
Okay, so last question to end it off. Would you have any advice for me and the rest of the upcoming class of 2024?
It's never too early to start the college process, and I constantly want to drill that in. And looking for scholarships, financial aid, and all that. If it can be done early, do it early. Volunteer places if you need to. The career that you want to do. If there's any chance you get any type of practice preparing for that, do so. Even if it means reaching out to places that offer. Do not slack off. I hate the word senioritis because my thing is you slack off because you choose to slack off. Like I said, senior year, I had a goal of getting to college. I had a goal of finishing strong. Even when I look back at my transcript now, it was good.
Yeah.
But I could have definitely done better. So definitely making sure you're finishing strong. I believe that every college looks at every part of the transcript. I believe every part is important. So definitely do your best. Finish. If you have not finished strong any other year of high school, finish strong senior year for sure. Again, this is very, very important, particularly for our students of color. We already have a mark on us already because of our color. You have people who don't think that we're strong enough, that we're smart enough, capable enough, different things like that. I've often told students, prove people wrong. When they doubt you, prove them wrong. And that, you'll be happy of the hard work that you put in. When I reflect back, yes, I can point out times where I could have worked harder, but at the same time, I'm aware of the struggle and the hard work I had to put in to get to where I am. And also remember that your journey is your journey. I spent a lot of time wishing that, like, technically, I should have, in my mind, I should have been a teacher in 2012, but I didn't become a teacher until spring of 2017. In my beliefs, I say the Lord had a reason for that, and while I wish it would have happened earlier, I am thankful of the time it took, only because of the people and the opportunities that came along the way. So that's what I would say.
Oh, that was very powerful. I'd like to thank you for coming on my podcast.
Of course.
And I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you tune in again. And I'm your host, Makailyn. And again with my guest,
I'm Mr. Fleming.
And we will see you next time.
Bye. All right. Have a good one.